What's going on YouTube? Hayden back making another brand new Crypto TV episode. In today's video, we'll be looking at Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, as well as XRP to USD. We will also be looking at the current coin market cap. Now, the question for discussion, or the title of today's episode, is basically figuring out, did the market cap off? Are we going to continue to see Litecoin blast off? It did hit a pretty strong resistance that we were discussing in yesterday's video, and then we did see the market go a little bit higher. So these are the questions we're going to try to answer. Are we going to continue to head up, or are we going to see a retracement? And this pretty much will set us up for when to buy in. Otherwise, guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, leave a giant thumbs up. We're doing a giveaway at 10,000 subscribers, and I'd like to hit that by the end of this month, guys. We're at, I believe, 9,800 subs, so let's get me to 10K, and I'll be doing a cryptocurrency giveaway of some sort. Otherwise, let's jump right into today's episode. So as you can see, we're on the current coin market cap, and Bitcoin dominance is 55.4. We see a 24-hour volume of 61.2% or $61.2 billion and a market cap of 256.5 billion. So just what I'm getting off of this, we're seeing Bitcoin dominance actually stay, I think, a little bit lower than yesterday. We're seeing 24-hour volume slowly, die off, as well as the current market cap. Actually, I believe we're starting to see a little bit of an uptrend. I lied. So I think this is just ever so slightly higher than where we were yesterday, as well as the market cap being like 2 billion higher. But for the most part, the current coins aren't really seeing much movement at all. This is more of a retracement pattern, more of a consolidation point. But you can see that Bitcoin is above $8,000. Ethereum is 250. Litecoin holding that number 4th position now, $200 million higher in market cap than Bitcoin Cash is at $116, which is going to be the current coin to discuss. You can see it is still the #1 gainer out of all the cryptos for today. Out of the top 10, you can see Bitcoin only 0.5%, XRP 0.5%, Stellar only 1%. But for the most part, Litecoin is the #1 gainer. It has the most swing right here, considering all the other coins are kind of just trading sideways. So we will have to look at its chart to really, diagnose what exactly is happening within the market. So I'm going to swing us over to Litecoin's chart. You can see right here what exactly is happening. Yesterday was a very interesting pattern within this coin. You can see we do have a very strong resistance up at 117, and when we did decide to rally up, I told everybody to sell off right at around 150, or I said I was selling off right at around 115, and there is a bit of a resistance everywhere above this. You can see we've had 1 candle wick, 2, 3, and 4 candle wicks holding a strong resistance at 116. So to see us go above that, I was quite surprised, but it did exactly what was anticipated and a retrace back down. So the big question right now, the fact of the matter is, are we going to continue to head up higher? Are we going to see a $130 Litecoin, or are we going to start to see retracement back down? If I was to give my, thought, it would be to see some sort of retracement back down to here, like I just drew, mainly because we are, we're not overbought yet, and we do have some room to go up a little bit higher. But the fact that we already see this run gives me a little satisfaction that we could start to dip down. So ultimately, I do think that there is a little bit of potential to see maybe a little bit of movement, maybe to the 120s, but then I think it's going to be followed up by a pretty strong retracement back down. So this will open up another buy-in opportunity, maybe at 115, depending on where its RSI falls. That will be right around where we're going to most likely buy into. But otherwise, the market doesn't look too bad. It definitely did exactly what we were planning on it to do. We did see a major move to the upside, a retracement at the top, where this resistance is. We saw the pullback back exactly down to where our support is, which was $100. We called this retracement. We bought in right at the bottom, and then we rode the wave right back up to the top at 116. So that did open a huge opportunity for profits that we did take. And I do have eToro, which is a platform that I like to use. Probably not going to load in right now. There we go. And you can see just off the bat here what our Litecoin position was if it loads back in. But basically, eToro is a way for you guys to do one of two things, or both. They are a virtual trading platform, which means you guys can trade cryptocurrencies using virtual coins. This way you can test out everything we teach on YouTube. You can use that in your virtual trading to test out whether these patterns are holding true, whether the methods that I'm preaching are holding true. And then when you feel comfortable, you can open up a real virtual trading account, which is what I'm using currently right now, which you can see has $1,000 into it. And we invested $300. We bought 2.79 units, opened at 107, closed at 112. I just want to give you a warning that eToro is slightly delayed, ever so slightly. So when we bought at 107, we were anticipating a lower buy-in at around 104. Could have bought in all the way at $100, but that's why it's a little bit higher up here. But ultimately, it did lead us to profit, and that was only with $300. So you can see if you put in $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 off a trade like that, you could have made close to $140 or $300 right off that small trade. So even though, you know, even though I only made like $14, if you did put in more, it would have ultimately led you to a bigger, percentage, and that's kind of what I trade off of showing it online. Otherwise, moving on to Bitcoin, we'll wrap things up with Ethereum and XRP. You can see Bitcoin is starting to retrace back up too. You'll notice that Litecoin has had more of a move than Bitcoin is having. Bitcoin had very little movement. Even though we're starting to trade back up, we are only at 50 on the RSI. Gives us plenty of potential to continue higher. Theoretically, if Bitcoin decides to go, it could fuel Litecoin to go much higher to that 120, 130 region, mainly because of it being only 50 on the RSI. It has so much room to grow, and if we did grow, we would probably hit a cap at around $80, $900. Basically, this yellow resistance up at top. You can see we could move something like this before starting to retrace lower. That will most likely hit us up at the overbought market, indicating that a retracement probably back down around $8,300 would be ideal for Bitcoin's current position. Lastly, I want to check out Ethereum. Ethereum does seem to be a very good coin trading right now. It's the easiest one to graph out of the top three that we just did, Litecoin and Bitcoin. Ethereum has a very strong ascending triangle that is forming right now, which we were tracking for quite some time now. It was then followed up by a retracement to the downside, pulling us all the way down to like 230. You can see not only was there an ascending triangle, a smaller one on the daily that formed, indicating this retracement to lower. We were inside of a sideways channel with a top or a price ceiling at 270 and a price floor at around 234. So we were trading in between here for quite some time. We started to build up. Usually ascending triangles, like I say, in the market break bearish. We saw the retracement to a lower level, and now it looks like we're kind of just free floating. Now, I also want to point out that there is a bigger ascending triangle that most people don't see. You can see we have our small one right here, but there is a bigger triangle forming right here that is also over Ethereum. So theoretically, if we do decide to use this uptrend, which we most likely will, we will see this consolidation out. So we could decide to head back up to 270, followed by retracement lower. And we're most likely going to swing in between here and then potentially break out to the upside. But even though we're in this channel that's very easy to predict, it's inside of a bigger, uptrend, which could ultimately lead for a nice pop on the upside. Right now we're sitting at around 50 on the RSI, so it does give us plenty of potential to swing in either direction. But I really do think consolidation, if not a move up to 270, is definitely in the air for Ethereum, followed by a retracement lower back down to retest that 230, and then we're going to start to hug the market right back up as we, conclude this major ascending triangle that has been forming since, I believe it was April, end of April. Lastly, let's check out XRP before we wrap up today's video. You can see as XRP loads in, XRP has a very interesting charting as well. It's not really following much of a support or resistance. It's hard to find a trend line. Even if we drew it in like here, it's really not connected to anything. Only 2 points of contact, I like to tell the beginner traders, isn't really something that we should go off of. When we only see 2 points of contact, it's not as secure as, let's say, 3 or 4 points would be. So there's really nothing to chart just yet in terms of symmetrical triangles or ascending or descending triangles. But we do know that there are channels of resistance that are in play, and you can see those are drawn in right here. The yellow as well as these 2 white lines. You can see the yellow is beautifully drawn here for good reason, and then you can see this top white is also drawn on for good reason. Resistance, support, and then some more resistance and support. So it does hold quite true. You can see this middle This middle support or resistance is just the cut right in between. You can see there are some plays in the past where we do, see that being, touched or played around with. You can see right here, this clear as day retracement. And then as I scroll out, you can see how the coin is currently and the price is currently interacting with these three lines right here. You can see we have a bottom support where we've tested it as a resistance and then twice as a support. You can see this is a beautiful double bottom. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's when the market touches a support, bounces up, and then hits it right now, and it forms a W, which you could see is clear as day within XRP. But currently we're battling out our middle resistance at around, or middle support right now at around 41 cents. So we're most likely going to see some consolidation with that. A potential, we could easily see a move back up to 47 cents due to the fact that the RSI is around 50. So besides Litecoin, all the other cryptos do hold true, and they do hold very well on the RSI, giving the market still more room to grow up and move to higher levels. So we're definitely not going to throw that out to the wind because, just because Litecoin is nearing overbought doesn't mean the rest of the market is. So otherwise, guys, that's going to sum up today's episode. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications. We're doing a giveaway at 10K. Otherwise, I'll see you in tomorrow's episode. Peace.